everyone, my name is Ornella Hernandez and I'm your CryptoTV host. I'll be breaking down some of the latest news from the Web3 world. Today we're going to talk about what everyone is talking about at the moment, Friendtech. What is Friendtech, you ask? Well, keep watching to find out. I can't scroll through X, formerly Twitter, or Instagram without seeing a post about Friendtech. Basically, Friendtech is this new social networking application that is taking the crypto community by storm. The new app is built on Base, which is Coinbase's new blockchain, and the crypto exchange created Base as a layer 2 on Ethereum to make it easier for developers to create decentralized apps. It calls itself the marketplace for your friends. Okay, I know this sounds weird, but relax, folks. We're not selling our friends here. Rather, we are buying shares of our friends. It's an interesting concept. Once you register, you are worth something. Others can buy your shares, similar to how you would buy a share of a company on the stock market. Friendtech allows users to exchange tokens called keys of other users. They're like tokenized shares with an assigned price, so that the more shares you buy, the more the price goes up, and vice versa. Imagine buying shares of your favorite influencer, or celebrity, or an athlete. So think of an influencer, maybe it's someone from TikTok, like Alex Earl, for example, who I love, or your favorite athlete, like Cristiano Ronaldo. If you think that they will continue to grow, then you're basically betting on their success if you buy their shares on Friendtech. So the app integrates with X, and users earn weekly points for their activity on the app. The keys grant access to a closed group chat room. And many more features are expected in the near future, but for now, the chat is one-sided. So key holders can direct message the user that they bought keys from, but the user can only send messages to the entire group of key holders. There is also a 10% commission on each transaction. 5% goes to the platform, and the other 5% to the users whose shares are being exchanged. And this application is by invitation only, so you need a code from an existing user to join. Friendtech was launched only 2 weeks ago, but it has already generated a lot of buzz. According to Dune Analytics, Friendtech has more than 1 million total transactions, $67.2 million in total trading volume, more than 100,000 unique traders, and the top creators have earned revenues of more than $100,000 so far. But some people have also pointed out some red flags. While Friendtech runs on the Base blockchain, the founders of Friendtech are anonymous and supposedly have ties to previous crypto projects that have launched and then, poof, have disappeared. When users connect their X or Twitter accounts, they give Friendtech certain permissions, such as the ability to post and repost. If you use the app, I would personally recommend revoking these permissions in your Twitter settings. And yes, although it is an app, it cannot be installed from the App Store. So that means that it bypasses all privacy and security requirements, which may put users at risk. The biggest red flag, in my opinion, is the pricing model. Early investors can get cheap shares, drive up the price, and then sink subsequent investors. Let's see what the community has to say. Jason Yanowitz, founder of Blockworks, says that the app will probably fail because most startups fail, but that's okay. And he will always support teams that innovate and get more people playing on Ethereum. Another user says, with his picture of Pepe the Frog, that using tokens that give you access to celebrities and attractive women as a means of speculation is much more fun than doing the same thing with tokens that give you access to unemployed, angry 30-year-old men on Discord. Another tweet says that Friendtech has a better chance of becoming mainstream than all the PFP projects or profile photo NFTs combined. It's a Trojan horse. Okay, personally, I think that crypto investors are a lot like cats. They're attracted to shiny objects. And right now, Friendtech is the shiniest thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the next big thing. I think in the short term, in the next 6 months or so, the Friendtech craze will continue. Weekly airdrops will incentivize trading as more and more non-native cryptocurrency users join once that they see their friends making thousands of dollars a day. In the long term though, 6 to 18 months, who knows? Once they stop with the weekly airdrops, it will all depend on how good the app actually is. And with the current state of the features, the chat, the interface, etc., I don't see it being that sustainable. Hey, crypto apps are difficult. Social networking apps are even more difficult to make success. Combine the two, and you almost have the sequel to the next Mission Impossible movie. All that said, I still think I'm going to give it a try. So someone invite me, please? And for others who want to try it, please remember the golden rule. Invest only what you can afford to lose. What do you guys think? Is Friendtech another scam, or is it legit? And do you think that this is more interesting than buying shares in a company, or is it weird to assign value to people in this way? Let me know what you think in the comments. In any case, all the recent activity on Friendtech has accounted for the majority of volume transactions on Base, Coinbase's new Layer 2 blockchain. And it has more daily transactions than Arbitrum and Optimism, and it's only been live for a few weeks. While Layer 2s have been growing in popularity over the last few months, the top ones have been Arbitrum and Optimism. Now, Base is heating up the competition. Just yesterday, the number of transactions on Base totaled 723,000, while Arbitrum saw 643,000 transactions and Optimism had 450,000 transactions, according to Dune Analytics. With Base leading the way, let the on-chain summer celebrations continue. I remind you that Coinbase's summer campaign called On-Chain Summer is still ongoing for another week. They've been celebrating Base's launch with daily NFT mints of art, music, and content with partnering brands such as Coca-Cola, Friends with Benefits DAO, and Atari. On-Chain Summer is live through August 31st. They've definitely tried to revive a not-so-hot NFT market. Over the last 6 months, the market cap for major projects is down by $2.2 billion. This includes popular projects like Bored Apes, CryptoPunks, Azuki, DeGods, and others. There's only one NFT project that's actually up in price over the last 6 months, and that's Milady. In fact, it's up by 3 times. Interesting. I always thought they looked a little creepy. And to be honest, the pain in the market will likely continue for a while longer. I believe NFTs will be the last part of the industry to see a major uptick again once the market improves. And for fans of Yuga Labs and their collections like Bored Ape, Yacht Club, and CryptoPunks, the company recently announced that it will block the ability to trade its latest NFTs on OpenSea as of February 2024. This move is intended to protest OpenSea's decision to stop collecting royalties on behalf of NFT creators. This could be a major blow to Yuga's business. One of the big promises behind NFTs was that their original creator would take a cut whenever the NFTs were resold. For companies like Yuga, which once saw explosive prices on its Bored Ape collection, those royalties added up to tens of millions of dollars. But despite Web3's many promises, in the end, the decision to apply and distribute those commissions to artists fell to the NFT marketplaces like OpenSea, Blur, Magic Eden, and others. And as the NFT market has deflated, more platforms have been forced to disregard artists in order to reduce commissions and attract more sellers. However, not all of Yuga's NFTs will be locked out of OpenSea due to technological limitations. The company said that it would stop offering OpenSea support on all upgradable contracts and any new collections, meaning that older collections, including the most famous Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, will likely continue to be sold on there. The floor price, referring to the lowest price for any NFT in a given collection of the cheapest Bored Ape at the moment, is worth 24.6 ETH, or around $40,700. Now, please stay tuned because we have a special guest joining me today. So we have a special guest joining me via Zoom today from Estonia, and his name is Kyn from the company called Mintrust. How are you today, Kyn?
Hey, doing really, really well today. Thank you so much for bringing me on board. I'm really excited to have a nice chat with you about all the stuff that's taking place in Web3, and I know that we have some cool topics coming up.
Yes, I'm excited too because I wanted to pick your brain about this latest trend and craze going on in the crypto world about Friendtech. I'm sure you've heard of it. Not sure if you're on it or if your friends are on it, but tell me what you think about it so far.
It's such an interesting experiment, I've got to say. It's only been around for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And already, over $70 million have gone inbound into it. $3 million worth of commissions have been generated. And obviously you see some of the big influencers in the space like Kobe who are making like, the hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. So it's very exciting for sure. It's interesting because it's sort of you're buying shares, or I guess as they call keys, into an influencer's account. And people are trading it up to get access to these influencers directly. The only promise, of course, is that you can chat with them, right? And they can chat with you directly, having a direct line to your favorite celebrity or influencer. It's very appealing in many ways. And so, right now, of course, when it comes to Web3, right now in this sort of crypto winter, everyone's looking for the new narrative, volatility in the market. So something new, something exciting, so that you can trade like an NFT or a token on the market. And now you're trading your favorite influencers. So it's
right.
very exciting in terms of what we're seeing so far.
No, definitely. I found it a little weird how you're basically like assigning value to, could be your friends or could be, influencers, celebrities who might already have a net worth. But when it's more regular people, it's like, I don't know, how does that work exactly if everyone's driving up your share price or your stock price? But who knows? So far, it's been going well. It's only been 2 weeks, like you said.
Absolutely. I mean, and it'll be interesting to see if we end up having friends really talking to friends in that way. In some ways, its model mimics that of a version of like an OnlyFans of sorts. I mean, getting access to your favorite celebs. But you don't really get any kind of promise in terms of what kind of benefits you'll get, except for having that direct contact with the person. So I guess we'll have to see how it evolves. But what it does also show is the ability for blockchain, especially scalable blockchains, to be able to just utilize applications like this right on top of it. And it allows for anyone, a retail user, to participate without having to pay like massive gas fees like they would on Ethereum or otherwise. So I think it's also a good use case for that too. Definitely.
Do you think there's a future there that this might actually take off and be a good use case for crypto and layer 2s?
Well, it's a good example of how you can actually use blockchain to drive multiple transactions like this without really harming your pocket, so to speak. So whether or not Friendtech survives in this capacity, it's you have to question it in terms of its longevity, but as a starting point, it does highlight the ability for blockchain to actually support this. I mean, if you look at back in 2017, when CryptoKitties became the rage on Ethereum, it was an interesting, just a totally new use case other than just trading tokens, so to speak. Right. You actually had some kind of an asset of real value, and people started to imagine new worlds. And so that's also, I think, part of what we can think about when we think of Friendtech. It is that use case of what can actually get people excited again.
Yeah, a whole new realm of possibilities. And then it's also exactly giving right. a big boost to Base, Coinbase's new layer 2 blockchain. So maybe you could comment on that and what you've seen so far. There's been a lot of traction on Base. They have this on-chain summer campaign. A lot of people are building on it. So maybe from a DeFi perspective, what do you think of Base so far?
Yeah, Base is very interesting because obviously, Base coming from Coinbase and working based off of the Optimism code base, so to speak. It is very interesting because you do have a lot of support there. You have all your biggest players in the space supporting it on the DeFi side, whether it's your Uniswaps or your Aves and Compounds and the like. The other thing that's very interesting about it is because Coinbase is such a large exchange and has been established for so long, the Coinbase wallet and Coinbase itself, they make it very easy for you to access Base directly from your wallets. And that means that it's a much easier onboarding process for users to get access to the chain. And it is certainly very fast, very effective, very efficient, based on Optimism. And they're able to do what they're claiming to do, which is basically being this super chain, which will allow for interoperability right. between, among other chains, right? That then allows for a greater user propagation too. And then this application sitting right on top of it, like Friendtech and otherwise, that just, again, it makes it easier for users to be onboarded into applications like that. So it's a very good starting place. We'll have to see because there is a lot of competition across multiple layer 2s. And there's definitely a narrative coming on the cross-chain side of things. So it is one key player, but we'll see what takes place. But they definitely have a leg up in many ways.
Yeah, they're definitely have that leg up, like you said. But who else would you consider their main competitors? Arbitrum and Optimism?
Sure. Arbitrum, Optimism, definitely the ZK base chain, ZKEVM base chains like ZK Sync or even Polygon's ZKEVM are also quite interesting, particularly because of the underlying technology, just the sense, the idea that they're more secure, more privacy-centric. They're very much trustless. So the technology there can make for also scalable applications where, you don't have to worry about having any sense of concern about trusting another party in any way. Right. So I think those also have very strong narratives around them. A number of projects in the space, including within our own network, are very keen to develop on ZKEVM-based chains right now. We ourselves are also in talks with similar ones too, because they are pretty exciting from a scalability perspective, privacy perspective, security perspective.
So what do you think is the main appeal working with ZKEVM?
Sure. The main thing, aside from the scalability part, scalability is one key piece. Retail users can come and use any application similar to Friendtech. So in DeFi, the biggest challenge when you're based on Ethereum, even though Ethereum carries the largest amount of TVL, is it really restricts access. The ZKEVM chains or any layer 2 chain allows for your retail user to come in. Obviously, they can lend, borrow, trade, whatever they want to do in DeFi, trade their NFTs. But the ZKEVM piece of it in particular, again, what it really does is providing the ability for you're not having to trust any other party in any way, and the fact that proofs that take place in ZKEVM, you don't need to actually verify the transaction details. You don't have to know the transaction details, but you can verify it's a true transaction because it's using zero-knowledge proofs. And that in itself, again, is very appealing for any new developer or any developer coming on board onto blockchain or any existing one too, because ultimately at the end of the day, we want to have an environment where people cannot take advantage of others and they can feel safe. And that's what ZKEVM really provides, or zero knowledge rollup.
Let's take that word trust. I know we want to ideally be in a trustless society, but do you think that's really possible ever to have that sense of trust and, like you said, being able to genuinely believe that our transactions are safe?
It's a very good question. So there's a difference between ideology and reality, certainly. The reality is that a majority of blockchains and protocols are still very much centrally controlled. There's no doubt about that. But the idea behind the ideology piece is that we want to move towards a much more trustless society now, or trustless-based blockchain environment, I should say. Now, the thing is, getting from here to there, it'll take multiple steps, but what ultimately happens is culturally within our space, the ability to fork existing code is acceptable. It's perfectly fine to do it. You take something that's already there, you tweak it, retool it, and deploy it again. And the ability for a user base then to migrate, their ability to make choices and migrate immediately overnight is also there. So what that tells you is that even if you have greed and centrally controlled protocols that are creating an ideology of decentralization, but it's not, and trustlessness, but it's not, that code base is still there for others to utilize to improve upon, redeploy, move that user base to another location. So I think over the course of time, we will be able to start moving there and have much more trustlessness and much less trust requirements for the space. But again, we're in Wild West days, right? I mean, our industry is less than 15 years old at this point.
Yes, it's going to take a while to get there. So tell me what you are doing with your company and what role you're playing in getting us closer to a trustless society.
Sure, very good question. So I'm operating a business called Mintrust. Our project is called Mintrust. Mintrust is a next generation lending protocol. It's a money market. And the way in which Mintrust operates, it is intended to be as egalitarian as we can be. Obviously, we're a business to begin with. We're just getting to the launch phase. But the idea is that as a lending protocol, you have lenders and borrowers. You have a savings account, and you have people who can borrow from it. Now, a bank typically they'll take fees, as do other lending protocols. They take fees. The thing that they typically don't do is really redistribute those fees back to their users, and that's exactly what Mintrust does. So it's able to take all the fees captured between like a lender and borrower. There's an interest rate that a borrower pays, and a lending rate that a yield that a lender earns. The difference between that goes back to the users of the protocol. The protocol also is able to capture more fees. So we're capturing more fees than other protocols in the space. We have a setup called an auto liquidation engine. So what happens is users who become under collateralized, you have to basically take them out of the system. And so there are fees related to that, which are again distributed back to the users of the protocol. So what's happening is at the end of the day, a lender's earning more interest than any other protocol in the space, and a borrower is paying a smaller rate than any other protocol in the space, because we're giving all those fees back to users. So that way, what happens over the course of time, not only are they benefiting financially from using the protocol, but they'll also be able to make bigger decisions, because we are going to be launching our own DAO as well, and the distribution of our governance token will be pretty wide over the course of the next couple of years. And so decisions can be made by the community as well.
Okay, and so how is the market of lenders and borrowers looking like so far, given the current market conditions? And what exactly are people lending out here? Do you have NFT capabilities as well?
It's a very good question. So certainly DeFi at this very moment has certainly taken a hit, right, over the last couple of years in the bear market, in the crypto winter market. The thing about it, though, is the key core infrastructure layer for everything DeFi related. You're not able to operate any kind of financial system without having a so-called Web3 style bank. It doesn't make any sense. And anyway, it enables trading, enables fee value. It drives transactions to blockchains as well. You can fee value there too. So yeah, I think what we're going to end up seeing is, as we move kind of to the other side into the bull market over the next couple of years, these are going to end up being mainstays for every chain. And one of the things that we're discussing with a number of other layer 1 and layer 2s, they all need lending protocols. So they're going out of their way to figure out which one they can attract to their blockchains, because it's going to be a centerpiece for them. In terms of NFTs, that was a very interesting question. So Mintrust right now is launching with core token markets, but we do have an NFT play. The way that it actually works, though, is that Mintrust has its own NFTs, so that they're not just your pretty-looking PFPs, they're actually functional in nature. So what they do is they actually provide liquidity providers with additional rewards for actually holding them. So if you hold an NFT, you get access to the protocol, and you're actually able to generate greater fees that are being generated by the protocol itself. So it's a bit of a gamification system, but at the same time, it is adding more value to those NFTs. You can, I know that we have community members who've done discounted cash flow models on those NFTs just to see how much it's actually worth. It's just very entertaining to see that, but they can actually hold value like that.
Yeah, especially given that the NFT market is going down right now.
It's also exactly right? We're seeing, whether it's basic collections or otherwise, the NFT space is definitely struggling right now. Yeah. But similarly, so I think you have to hit some kind of bottom, and you have to try to use utility in those NFTs. But NFTs are there for a reason. It's not just for artwork. That's for sure.
Definitely. What are some of the best use cases that you think NFTs have?
Great question. NFTs, they're containers. They're just digital containers of scarcity. So it's representing a single object in this, whatever you want it to be, right? So one thing is fractional shares of a business, fractional ownership of a building, a physical building. They can be for me. My background is as a game developer. So I love to think of the utility within games themselves. How the idea is that you can, whether it represents a rare sword in a video game, which you can utilize there, and you can prove that there's only one of those on the blockchain. You actually prove it, as opposed to traditional games where you have no idea if your rare sword is really rare. That's one piece. The second piece is that even if, say, a game goes down, no longer in existence, the NFT can be migrated into another game, right? So you can actually have the ability to bring users from one game to another game. So it enables a greater life of bringing your entire audience over. So there's so many different ways in which you can utilize NFTs. Artwork is just, I think, has been a way for us to be able to visualize or to understand the idea of digital scarcity more than anything else. But the utility can certainly grow beyond just that.
Definitely. Are you a big NFT collector yourself?
I definitely have been dabbling in the space for the last 4 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I do love them. I do love them.
Do you prefer it maybe over physical art? Having these digital collectibles?
Interesting question. So what I would say is that this is actually, this is what's gotten me into getting interest into physical art. So it's been interesting. I wasn't interested in physical art beyond just a few pieces that we had, but when I started exploring the digital art of NFTs, yeah, it actually got me paying attention more to traditional art. So I think that's also very good in terms of how it educated me a bit more. I know a number of friends of mine same thing. It kind of moved them in the other direction.
Right. Okay, no, love that. And then on the topic of games, you mentioned that you were a big gamer yourself. So what do you think it's going to take to get some of all these games, the Web3 games that are in production right now? What do you think it's going to take for one of them to get ahead?
Sure. So the first thing is we have huge friction points when it comes to video game gaming. So it requires you to have a Web3 wallet. If you need to hold seed, your seed phrase, and you have to be gas fees. All of these frictional points, traditional gamers are not going to want to deal with it. Though they may be more apt towards technologies like that, but when you want to play a game, you just want to play a game.
Right.
So we need to be able to abstract away a lot of that friction. That's one thing. The second piece is that the earlier blockchain games focus heavily on making money. Like you come into the game, you play the game, sure, the game may be fun to a degree, but you're there to make money. At the end of the day, that's not going to work. Good game design. The same reason why microtransactions in traditional games just don't work very well. Well, they work. They make companies money, but at the end of the day, gamers are not typically very happy all the time, by and mass. Good game design should not require that. Good game design should entail a good game, a good experience where you're playing with other people, and the blockchain layer adds value to it and particularly protects you. Because again, I have one sword, no one can take that away from me, as an example. And from there, you can build economies around it. There's no reason you can't build an actual self-sustaining economy around the game, but you need to first start with the core game concepts first.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Kyn. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it for bringing me on board.
Now let's take a look at the crypto market.
Today's crypto market report. The price of Bitcoin is currently at $26,000. Ethereum has seen a 10% decline in the past 2 weeks and hovers just over $1,600. Toncoin has been on an upward trend during the past 7 days with a high of $1.45. And Optimism has been up this past week with a high of $1.61.
That's all for today. Please remember to like and comment, and thank you for tuning in. See you next time.